continue with our discussion on the case. Now remember that you have to select a subsidiary and you have to select a parameter and be able to look up the data from the data that is given here. Now that becomes a problem for us because a VLOOKUP can only look up for one data point, right? Now let's think about how do you go about solving this problem, and there are multiple solutions that would possibly be available for this. One of the solutions would be that if there are a lesser number of sectors, then you are essentially going to do a VLOOKUP here, and based on the selection you can choose something. So logically you can say that if the selection is food and beverages, then you do a VLOOKUP in this table, right? So you do a VLOOKUP, and when you're doing a VLOOKUP, the table that you choose for VLOOKUP is going to be A13 to G17, right? A13 to G17 is the table where we are doing the VLOOKUP. Else, assuming there are only two sectors, the next sector is, let's say, media, then you do a VLOOKUP in the media sector, which is A21 to G25, right? Now, because there are four of these sectors, and as the number of sectors keeps increasing, this will keep doing, it'll keep adding if loops inside an if loop, right? So there'll be at least 3 if loops because you will have 4 conditions or 4 sectors that need to be chosen up. So that becomes a little bit difficult for us to kind of work with because that will increase the complexity. Logically, we could try and search some advanced calculations here as well, which would deal with trying to find out the problem. The problem for us is effectively multiple lookup, right? Multiple lookup in Excel. We can try and search for this, but that would be beyond the scope of this course at this point of time. So we'll not get into all those details. We'll try and somehow create a single key out of the data that we have, right? For that, we will need to organize the data a little bit. So what do? We select the first data point we have, and we do a Control C, go to the organized data sheet, and go to the third column there and paste it somewhere, right? So we paste the data there. We put a heading to this as parameter, and we put another heading in the second column saying subsidiary, and we go to the dashboard and select whatever is there, Control C, go and paste it here as Control V. In fact, it will copy and paste the drop down, so we'll have to paste special and paste only values, right? So it pastes foods and beverages here. I can double click it so that I have the table now created in terms of foods and beverages being there in each of these rows, right? Earlier we only had this table and had put foods and beverages on the top here. Now we have added a column in the table itself and added it here. Similarly, now we go to the next set. We already have years listed there, so we don't need the years to be listed anywhere else. We can just plug this data in, put in media here, and double click this. We can go to the next set of data, select sales of infrastructure and all the parameters for infrastructure, put this here, go to the dashboard. It's a good idea to probably copy it from here because then you don't make any mistakes in spellings, and you paste values and double click that, and then you go and choose the final one, which is cement. Wherever you see there is a possibility of a spelling mistake happening, it's good to copy. Cement is a simple spelling, so I'll just copy it there and paste it. There are two things which are mandatory in this exercise, which is you need to ensure that there are no spaces in any of these parameters, and we need to ensure that the numbers, the names text strings that are available here are exactly the same that are there in this table, right? So that's the table that we have created. That's the data set that we have created. Now we need to kind of go ahead and somehow create a scenario where we can make one key out of these two keys, right? So if we can somehow join these two, if we can somehow join this and this into one single key such that media and sales become media sales, then maybe we can solve the problem, because we can put that here as a single key and then do a VLOOKUP on that combined key, right? So let's see if we can do this. And how do we do this? So the solution lies in a function called concatenate. So either we can use a function called concatenate, and it basically adds two strings, so text1 and text2 and close. So you see it adds these two, right? So either we could do that. Now you also see there is a problem in terms of beverages and sales. There is no space in between. We do need a space there. So either in the concatenate function, we add a text string and put C6 here and instead just put a space here, right? So space will be in inverted commas. And when we click OK, you now see there is a space that has been put between food and beverages and sales, right? If you feel that concatenate is a difficult function to use, we can use something simpler, right? For that, let us just magnify this a little bit. We can use something simpler, which is we select this cell, put an equals to select the cell, put and select the next cell. And you see the result is the same as the first instance of what we did in concatenate, right? Now we need to add a space in between as well. So put this, put and, inverted commas, space, inverted commas, and sales. So it is adding cell B6, it is adding a space in between, and then it is adding cell C6. Press enter, it gives you the data like this. That's what we were looking for. We need a single key. You need to ensure that if you are doing a reference to another cell in the formula like B6, you can directly put B6 there. But if you're adding a string, a known string that is not a cell reference, then you need to put it in inverted commas. So a space here is a known string that we are putting in that has to be in inverted commas. Otherwise, you will not be able to carry this option out, right? Go ahead, double click this. So we have all the data available. We can put the header as lookup value here. And if we look at closely, now we have data values which are unique for each of these parameters available. So if we can do a search on this, a VLOOKUP on this, then we should be able to draw the data out easily, right? So let's go to the dashboard now and try and carry out the same exercise here. Remember, we need to do a VLOOKUP here, and we need to be able to do a VLOOKUP on these two parameters, and we need a mechanism of somehow combining these two parameters. So in this parameter cell, we carry out the same exercise we did earlier. We link this cell A12 and add a space and add net profit. And once we do that, it gives us the key that we were looking for. We were looking for food and beverages net profit. Let's do this again. We have linked food and beverages. Select and, between inverted commas a space, and net profit, right? Enter, you get this. Now you will see that if I change any of these, the string automatically changes, right? And this string is the same as the unique key we created in the lookup value column. So now our job becomes simpler. We can go ahead and simply do a VLOOKUP on this value and get the data for a particular year here. Let's start with the year being 2010. Let's do a quick VLOOKUP and try and sort this problem out. So we do a VLOOKUP. What is the lookup value? So what is the lookup value? That's this cell, infrastructure net profit. We can freeze it. Where is the table array? The table array is on the sheet organized data, and the entire table is the table array. We again freeze this. If you look at this table, the column in which you're looking for 2010 is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2010 would be in 4, and that should be put in as 4. And we are looking for an exact match, so we put 0, and it gives us the data as 200. Right? So infrastructure net profit is 200, sales is 7680, marketing expenses are 900, foods and beverages marketing expenses are 150, foods and beverages operating profit is 123, and sales are 950 for the year 2010. Right? However, there is a small problem in the sense that we have put in this data here, the column that we are looking at, manually. So if I change the year here to 2011, the sales number does not change. It should, but it doesn't, right? That's going to be our next problem solving in this case. We have successfully started the process of creating a single key and retrieving data out of the table. We now need to make it dynamic so that when I choose this particular cell, it automatically replaces the 4 that we have hard keyed in here with a dynamic reference to that particular year, right? That's our next task that we're going to follow in the next particular video.